It was a Tuesday morning in Cincinnati when 74-year-old Martha Levine, a retired schoolteacher and proud grandmother of 6, found herself gripping the cart handle at her local grocery store like it was a lifeline. She'd only come in for eggs and lettuce, but 15 minutes in, she was already flustered. The lights were dim, the shelves half-stocked, and a clerk barked at her when she asked where the baking soda had gone. "Try looking with your eyes, ma'am," he muttered before walking off. That clerk may not have known it, but Martha was once a drill sergeant of manners in her third-grade classroom. She turned and walked straight out, not buying a thing. What Martha experienced that morning wasn't just bad service, it was part of a growing trend that's quietly turning certain grocery stores into minefields for older shoppers. You'd think that in 2025, with aging populations and increasing awareness around accessibility, grocery chains would be making life easier for seniors. But some are doing the opposite. Hidden price hikes, confusing layouts, staff shortages, and neglect of senior-friendly features have turned what should be a simple errand into a high-stress gauntlet. And while no grocery store is perfect, there are 7 in particular that have earned a reputation, one that older Americans might want to take seriously. The story of how we got here is tangled up in corporate mergers, regional mismanagement, changing customer priorities, and in some cases, just plain apathy. But the fallout is very real. Let's talk about the names, the faces, and the realities behind these 7 notorious grocery stores. 1. Dollar General. It ain't worth $1 anymore. Once hailed as a budget savior for rural America, Dollar General has taken a dark turn. Seniors living in towns with no major supermarket often have little choice but to rely on it. But the store's recent decline is like something out of a post-apocalyptic film. You walk in, and it's eerily quiet, fluorescent lights flickering, boxes crowding the aisles like an obstacle course designed to trip up anyone with a walker or cane. The New York Times ran a piece in early 2024 documenting how Dollar General had become a retail desert trap. It's like they stopped caring once they put a store in your town. One 68-year-old man from rural Kentucky told the reporter, and he wasn't exaggerating. With safety violations piling up and stores chronically understaffed, the company has been slapped with multiple OSHA citations. They even had a whistleblower leak internal memos complaining about rodent infestations and lack of basic sanitation. Seniors especially are paying the price. Imagine being in your 70s, having to lean over for a can of soup because there's no staff around, only to find it expired last month. A Tennessee woman named Ruth Ann took to Facebook last year, posting a video of herself navigating the messy aisles, shaking her head. "I'm not asking for the Ritz," she said, "just a clean floor and someone to ring me up without an attitude." What's most heartbreaking about Dollar General is how it's failed the very people it was supposed to serve. The company's rapid expansion, over 19,000 locations, and counting should have meant increased access to essentials in communities where options were sparse. Instead, it often meant cutting corners. Seniors who live in rural areas, many without transportation, are essentially trapped by proximity. They go to Dollar General because it's the only thing within reach, not because it treats them with care. Even worse, the store layout can feel almost deliberately unfriendly. Crates of merchandise line the aisles, sometimes left there for days. For someone with a walker or balance issues, it's not just annoying, it's dangerous. And when complaints are made, they often vanish into a corporate void. Employees, who are paid criminally low wages, have no incentive or energy to go above and beyond. For seniors like Ruth Ann, the experience is less about shopping and more about surviving. 2. Walmart. The hidden costs of convenience. There's a strange irony in the fact that Walmart, America's largest retailer, is also one of the most frustrating places for seniors. Yes, the prices are competitive. Yes, you can buy socks, soup, and a shotgun in one trip. But navigating a Walmart supercenter when you're over 65 is like being dropped into a bad video game level. The place is massive, the shelves are tall, and good luck finding an employee who knows where the insured drinks are. It wasn't always this way. Back in the early 2000s, Walmart was making efforts to become more community-oriented. But somewhere along the way, it veered into algorithmic efficiency, cutting staff, and installing self-checkouts that seem to break down right when you've got frozen peas sweating in your cart. Older customers, many of whom struggle with digital tech, often find themselves fumbling with touchscreen menus while a teenage helper stands awkwardly by. And then there's the surveillance. Ever since that viral TikTok in 2023, where a man filmed himself being followed around Walmart just for carrying a large bag, seniors have been reporting similar stories. "I felt like a criminal just for looking at the vitamins," said Charles P., a 79-year-old in Phoenix. The stores have become cold, clinical, offering the illusion of accessibility while making it increasingly harder for people like Charles to feel welcome. Walmart's biggest betrayal isn't the crowds or the chaos, it's the way it's abandoned the human touch. Seniors grew up in a time when clerks bagged your groceries, knew your name, and didn't make you feel like a nuisance. Today's Walmart offers cavernous space, automated systems, and cameras in every aisle, but hardly anyone to ask for help. And for older shoppers who still write checks or prefer paying in cash, the whole process becomes humiliating. Seniors are also deeply affected by Walmart's increasing reliance on apps and self-checkouts. When a screen glitches or a barcode won't scan, the response time from staff is sluggish at best, dismissive at worst. There's no quick fix, no personal acknowledgement, just cold, humming tech and the expectation that you'll figure it out or leave. Even transportation is an issue. The massive parking lots that encircle most Walmart locations may not seem like a problem if you're 30 and spree, but for someone 80 years old with arthritic knees and 90-degree heat beating down, it's a marathon. Walmart used to promise everyday low prices, but the hidden cost is time, frustration, and dignity. 3. Save a Lot. The name is a lie. Save a Lot was supposed to be the thrifty cousin in the grocery family, the place where seniors could stretch their Social Security checks a little further. But talk to anyone who's shopped there recently, and you'll hear stories of shrinking product sizes, suspect meat, and produce that looks like it's been through a war. In fact, the brand's entire approach to customer service seems built on minimalism to a fault. Most stores are drastically understaffed, with just 1 or 2 workers trying to manage checkout, stocking, and cleanup. One employee went viral in 2022 for posting a TikTok where she ran the entire store alone during her 8-hour shift. Her caption, "Save a Lot, spend your soul." Seniors have reported feeling unsafe in poorly lit parking lots and unable to reach help when needed. One man in Dayton told a local news station that he fell near the milk fridge and had to yell for 5 minutes before someone even came over. "If I'd broken a hip," he said, "I could have died next to a gallon of 2%. The most glaring issue with Save a Lot is how it seems to ignore the fundamentals. A grocery store doesn't have to be fancy to be functional, but Save a Lot often feels like it's barely hanging on. When you're on a fixed income, you don't have the luxury of skipping a bad store, you have to make do. And that's what most seniors are doing when they go to Save a Lot, making do with wilted lettuce, unreliable pricing, and staff that are overworked to the point of exhaustion. There's also a particular sadness in how stripped down the stores are. No music, no ambience, just fluorescent lighting that buzzes like an old TV and long aisles with minimal signage. If you're looking for something specific, you better be ready to hunt. For older shoppers with poor eyesight or memory issues, it becomes an exhausting experience. Save a Lot should have been a haven, a low-cost alternative where seniors could find reliable food and a bit of neighborly interaction. Instead, it's a constant reminder of how cheapness often comes at someone else's expense, usually the customer's. 4. Aldi, not built for grandma's cart. Aldi is a darling of the frugal millennial crowd, and yes, their prices are hard to beat. But their no-frills approach can be downright hostile to older shoppers. Start with the shopping cart situation. You need a quarter to unlock one, which sounds cute until you realize most seniors don't carry coins anymore. And don't even think about asking for bags, those cost extra, and you're expected to bag everything yourself in a cramped little corner by the exit. It's part of the Aldi model, of course, efficiency over service, but that comes at a price. I had to bag my groceries with one hand while holding my cane in the other, said 81-year-old Loretta from Erie, Pennsylvania. Nobody helped. They just stared like I was in the way. Then there's the fast-paced checkout lines. Aldi employees are trained to scan at lightning speed, sometimes throwing items into the cart like they're on supermarket sweep. For people with arthritis or mobility issues, this chaotic rush adds stress to an already tiring task. As one senior on Reddit quipped, shopping at Aldi is like being in a game show you didn't sign up for. Aldi often feels like it's optimized for speed over comfort, and that's exactly the problem. Seniors don't want to feel rushed through a shopping experience. They want time to read labels, consider prices, and yes, sometimes double back to grab something they forgot. At Aldi, the pressure begins as soon as you step in the door. The streamlined shelving system might save money, but it adds confusion. Items aren't where you'd expect them to be. There's little brand variety, and most of what's on offer comes with unfamiliar labels. That might not be a deal breaker for someone in their 20s browsing TikTok recipes, but for a senior looking for their usual brand of soup, it can be disorienting. And let's not forget the cultural coldness. Aldi doesn't play music. It doesn't offer smiles. It doesn't even have a proper customer service desk in many locations. You feel it in the energy, like you're just one more cart in the flow, not a person who deserves care. 5. Kroger, the quiet decline of a once great chain. There was a time when Kroger was the heart of the community, the store you went to not just for food, but for connection. But after years of mergers, price manipulation allegations, and digital overreach, it's become a shadow of its former self. Kroger now leans heavily on digital coupons and app-only deals, effectively penalizing seniors who aren't tech-savvy and don't think the staff will help. Most stores have drastically cut back on cashiers, nudging customers towards self-checkout. In 2024, a viral Twitter thread showed a 72-year-old woman getting yelled at for holding up the line because she couldn't find the digital club price on an item. She was nearly in tears. The poster wrote, "She just wanted to buy bananas." And speaking of prices, Kroger has been accused multiple times of price scrambling, where shelf tags don't match register totals. This is confusing enough for any shopper, but for seniors on tight budgets, it can feel like a betrayal. "I asked the manager why my oatmeal rang up higher," said one woman in Ohio. He shrugged and said, "Corporate sets the prices, not us." 6. Whole Foods, too fancy, too cold. If Trader Joe's is the hipster's playground, Whole Foods is the cathedral of culinary elitism. The aisles are spotless, the lighting warm, the avocados organic. But underneath the polished wood displays and craft kombucha stands, Whole Foods is one of the most alienating places for the average senior. Prices aside, though, let's be honest, $9 for a pint of cherries is enough to make anyone weep. The bigger issue is the store's culture. Whole Foods seems tailor-made for the podcast-listening, oat-milk-loving urban professional. Seniors often feel out of place, invisible. "It's like walking into a spa where you don't belong," said Glenn, a 76-year-old jazz fan in Boston. "Nobody says hello, nobody helps, and God forbid you ask what quinoa is." Amazon's acquisition of Whole Foods only widened the digital chasm. App integrations, Prime discounts, and online order systems all assume a level of tech fluency that many older folks simply don't have or want. The irony is thick. A store supposedly dedicated to wholesome living has become inhospitable to the very people who've lived the longest. 7. Safeway. The name doesn't fit anymore. The decline of Safeway has been slow but steady, like a once reliable friend who slowly stopped showing up. Once known for friendly service and community connection, today's Safeway stores often feel hollow. The chain has been swallowed into larger corporate structures, and the effects are obvious. Fewer staff, less fresh produce, and confusing promotions that practically require a math degree to decipher. Take the Safeway in Rockville, Maryland, where 70-year-old Shayla Washington used to shop weekly. She switched stores last year after being overcharged 3 times in a month. "It wasn't even big stuff," she said. "Just little things: milk, yogurt, bread. But when you're on a fixed income, that matters." The Just For You app discounts don't help either. They sound helpful, but try using that app with bifocals and a jittery hand. The checkout lines are long, the bathroom sometimes locked, and worst of all, the pharmacy hours have been cut, forcing many seniors to wait days for prescriptions they used to get same day. What links all these grocery stores isn't just inconvenience, it's a subtle form of exclusion. Whether by design or by neglect, these chains have made it harder for seniors to shop with dignity and ease. The grocery store, once a dependable rhythm in the week, has become a gauntlet. And yet, there's hope in the cracks. Smaller co-ops, regional chains like Publix in the South, or HEEB in Texas, and local markets are increasingly stepping in where the giants fail. Some are even introducing senior shopping hours, in-store assistance programs, and analog coupon options. But the big names need to wake up. Seniors are not just shoppers, they're pillars of communities, wisdom holders, and fiercely loyal customers when treated right. You don't have to roll out red carpets. Just clean floors, respectful staff, and prices that don't lie would be a good start. Until then, people like Martha Levine will keep walking out, not in protest, necessarily, just in quiet defiance. A generation that once marched on Washington and watched the moon landing shouldn't have to battle for a bottle of dish soap.